Hi, I'm Fidel Master Richard Bulenko, and in this series I explore the typical mistakes of people rated anywhere between 1000 and 2000. This is a first reaction, no engine analysis of a chess.com gameplay between 1246 versus 1281. Let's start. Alright, so e4, d5 a Scandinavian defense, ed, queen takes d5. The downside of this opening is that black activates the queen a little bit prematurely, and now white can attack it with tempo, like knight c3, which was played in the game. White develops his minor pieces while gaining tempo, and now black, instead of developing his own minor pieces, has to waste time and move the queen somewhere backward, and so thereby wasting time. Let's see, queen d8, d4. Typical move in these kind of positions, right? White has developed the knight, attacking the queen. Queen goes back, and now white can, push the pawn in the center, open up the bishop, control the key central squares. Next, white can activate maybe his knight, maybe his bishop through c4, attack f7, and castle. So this is very typical. In the opening, we always try to put our pieces and pawns in the center. Let's see, e6 looks kind of passive, blocking the bishop, Plus, it's not like first priority to play e6. Why not play like knight f6, let's say? I think knight f6 was more normal, and then depending on the situation, black can always play e6, or maybe they can put the bishop on f5, or maybe, let's say, after knight f3, black can put the bishop on g4, pinning the knight, it depends. But black can always play e6, there's no need to rush, You wanna first make more flexible moves. Knight f6, black has to play anyway, so knight f6 is a flexible move, whereas e6, to play now or later with a bishop on c8 or first develop it will depend on different circumstances. So it makes sense to start with a move that you want to make for sure anyway, and then leave a more, moves like e6 to later, when you can decide whether you have to play with a bishop on c8 or first activate your bishop. So yeah, e6, not a good move. Let's see, bishop f4, okay, makes sense, attacking c7, potentially like knight b5 maybe. White might also prepare potentially queen d2 and then long castle. And because black's king is in the center, it would be great if white can push like d5 soon and open up the center to attack the king in the center. So bishop f4 makes sense, but I would say more common would be to play knight f3, using the same principle as with like knight f6. We're gonna put the knight on f3 anyway, that's basically like a given, right? Whereas the bishop move, depending on the situation, we can for now leave it on c1 or put it on e3 or f4 or maybe g5 if black plays like knight f6. It might make sense in some circumstances to put it on g5, where it's like more active, right? Or maybe we just leave it, on c1 for some time and activate this bishop to like, let's say, c4 or d3 or I don't know. But knight f3 you're gonna play anyway, whereas the bishop move is more flexible. So again, white, applied like the same maybe like in accuracy as black, playing e6, although of course bishop f4 is not, maybe it's too much to say inaccuracy, is not as bad as e6, because whereas e6 blocks the c8 bishop, yeah, bishop f4 activates a bishop, so it's not as bad, but you get my point, the concept. Let's see, bishop f4, a6, black is just playing with pawns. Like, look at black's last couple of moves. So black has moved the queen twice, moved it through d5, got attacked, went back to d8. Pawn move, pawn move. All the pieces are on the last rank. This is crazy. This is like the worst. In the meantime, look at white. A central pawn controlling key central squares, a developed knight, a developed bishop. So white has like way better development. So I don't really like the way black's playing here, just with like queen and pawn. But I understand the point of a6. Maybe he didn't have too much of a choice, because like I guess black was afraid of like knight b5, attacking c7, but maybe he could have played knight f6, and after knight b5 play like knight d5, both attacking the bishop and guarding c7. So this would be a more active defense, right? Don't just try to passively defend, try to defend in an active manner, in an active way. Yeah, so white here clearly has much better development and more space, and definitely should have an advantage. Let's see, queen d3. Yeah, looks kind of weird, but I guess white's plan is what? To put it maybe on g3, put pressure on g7, not allow the bishop to develop, and put pressure on c7. It's actually pretty interesting, but of course it looks kind of weird. Again, a more normal move would be knight f3, but be one way, Another way would be to apply prophylactic thinking, because now that black played a6, they might want to play b5, bishop b7, right? Expand the queen side and activate the bishop to put pressure here. So we can anticipate that and maybe play a move like, I don't know, let's say g3. This way, if black plays b5, now we can play bishop g2 and put pressure on the rook and actually take over the diagonal, right? And not allow black to take it over instead of us. So I think g3 would also make sense. The only downside is that like it limits this bishop range. Like if black ever tries to like attack the bishop somehow, we won't have, you know, a retreat square to like g3 or like h2. So that's the only downside. Usually g3 and bishop f4 don't go well together. But on the other hand, like I said, we take over this light diagonal. Yeah, so knight f3, g3, queen d2 would be more common as well, right? Queen d2 and a long castle, and then maybe d5 at some point if we can later on, you know, while the king is still in the center. Another move would be, I guess, bishop c4, activating the bishop, you know, and after b5, bishop b3. Yeah, so there are many ways, but yeah, queen d3 looks a bit unusual, but okay, it's still not necessarily a mistake. Let's see, knight f6, developing the knight, okay. h3, yeah, no, this is kind of slow. This is too slow. What's the point? Knight g4 is not a threat. Maybe knight h5 should have bishop h2, but I mean, there's no need for h3. We can just go, let's say, knight f3, and after knight h5, just go either to g5 with tempo, attack the queen, or go back to e3, and the knight will be bad in the corner. The knight will be bad in the corner, you know. And so, whereas our bishop on e3 is still, you know, central, yeah, central square, control both long diagonals, and the knight on h5 is just stupid. So there's no need to play h3. So really try to avoid moving the corner pawn, you know, corner pawns in the opening without like clear necessity, you know. So yeah, h3 is too slow. Should have played either knight f3 or I don't know, maybe a long castle, something like this. Yeah, but not h3. Let's see, h3, b5c, like I said. Long castle, I mean, it makes sense. Another move would have been queen f3. I think would have made a lot of sense, right? To attack the rook and prevent bishop is. And now if black plays, well, first of all, c6, 1, we can just like take on b8 and then take with check, you know. And then if bishop d7, we can just take like the second pawn. That's one thing. But another thing is that c6 would block, you know, when the bishop comes to b7, it would block the bishop, black's own bishop. So that's why, yeah, it's just slow. So yeah, this is very good. This would have been pretty good for white, you know. Yeah, queen f3, yeah. But let's see. Long castle, bishop d7. That's weird. Why not bishop b7? That'd be way more congruent. And then put the knight on d7, right? Yeah, that's weird. Bishop d7, definitely a mistake. Knight f3. Finally, white develops the knight. Finally. And now e5 is a great square for the knight, attacking so many pieces, pawns, and squares. Great central square. Let's see, knight f3, a5. This is horrible. Black's just playing with pawns. Just look at his like last couple of moves. Just moving pawns. a6, b5, a5. Just moving the pawns. Piece play is more dangerous than pawn play. And it's more important in the opening to develop your pieces through castle as fast as you can, and then implement pawn play. But just pawn play alone, with your king in the center, and a lot of your pieces undeveloped, is not effective. It's not as dangerous, you know. Piece play is more dangerous. So a5, mistake. Let's see, a3, mistake. This creates a pawn hook for b4. Pawn hook meaning now black can open files because of our pawn. Black will play b4, and after a b, let's say, black will open up the a file. Whereas with a pawn on a2, if black played b4, we just move a knight somewhere, and there wouldn't be any open files. So a pawn hook is when we help our opponent open files against our king by moving our own pawns. So the rule of thumb is when you castle on the opposite side, don't move your pawns, okay? Because you hate pawn hooks, make it easier for your opponent to open up files. So here, what would be the most logical move? Very simple, knight e5. Centralizing the knight, attacking so much stuff, potentially preparing queen f3 by the way, again, attacking the rook, right? Controlling the great long diagonal, but also the queen puts here surreptitiously pressure on f7. The queen is eyeing f7, so that if the knight ever moves, you know, might be some tactics. Maybe like bishop g5, you know, or maybe g4, g5, knight moves, and then, you know, the queen will move a bishop somewhere back, and then the queen will be eyeing f7. Plus, the queen on f3 opens up the bishop. Now the bishop can either take on b5, right, put pressure on d5, or the knight can take on b5, or the bishop can come through d3, you know, activate the bishop, attack h7, maybe bring the h1 rook 3-1, attacking the king. So yeah, queen f3 would have been a great, I mean, knight e5 followed by queen f3 would have been great advantage for white. So I think white should play knight e5. Like I said, central play is better than, is more dangerous, and contact is more like forcing. It implies contact, more forcing than pawn play. Yeah, so knight e5 would have been the correct move. Or actually another move, now that I think about it, actually is knight b5, wait a bit. Even knight e5 is still very great, but even like knight b5, why not? Just like take the knight, take the pawn, I mean, also, what's the problem? Attacking c7, and if bishop b5 and queen b5 taking with check. Yeah, so knight b5 actually also looks very great, yeah. So either knight b5 or knight e5 would have been right. But yeah, probably I guess the easiest, just take the pawn, right? This would be the most straightforward. But let's see, a3 mistake, b4 of course, knight e4. I mean, if ab, I guess black plays ab, opening up the a file. But yeah, let's see, knight e4. Yeah, but this is still not. Yeah, ba still not good. Whether we go ab or allow ba, it's still bad to allow any of this stuff, because it creates an attack against our king. Yeah, but maybe AB was more precise, because to allow BA is also bad. We might lose a pawn on A3. So probably AB would have been more precise, I guess. Maybe like AB and like knight B5, you know. And then if like check, we can just go like through D2, takes, and our king maybe not in the best spot, but not like the worst, you know. And now knight C7 is threatening. So yeah, maybe this would have been better than allowing BA. Yeah. But let's see. Here, well, even if you move a knight, why not move it to like, you know, B5, attacking C7? Would have been more aggressive, more, yeah, I think more active. But let's see, knight E4 takes, bishop C6. Why not take first with check? Why not play bishop A3 check, and after the king moves somewhere, let's say here, or I don't know, then you can play bishop C6, attacking the queen, open up a queen, you know. Why not win a pawn first? Yeah, so bishop C6 definitely a mistake. D5. Interesting move. I mean, another move would have been bishop B5, I guess. Pinning the bishop through the queen, can't take the queen because it's pinned, and if they take the bishop, then white takes the rook on 8 and winning an exchange. So bishop b5 also would have been pretty interesting. Or, of course, the easiest would be, you know, I'm not saying the best, but like, white can always play queen e3, guard the a3 pawn. That would be like the easiest to find, right? Queen e3 or d3, defending the a3 pawn. But let's see, d5, bishop a3 check, king b1, bishop takes d5, bishop b5. Wait, why not queen a4? Bishop b5 is definitely a mistake. Queen a4 check, right? And then let's say we play whatever move, it doesn't matter what move, let's say king of 8 or something, then we just take the bishop. It doesn't matter how we block queen, or we just play queen takes a3. It's just a double attack, we just win the bishop. Yeah, so queen a4 I think would have been the right move. Plus there's also this idea, you know, we move a queen, and then besides this we also have like, oh no, c4, I was thinking c4, but then there's like bishop e4 check, and there's bishop e4. But yeah, just queen a4 and win the bishop on a3. Yeah. But let's see, check here, king e7, check here, rook d5. Yeah, I'm not sure about this, queen d5, but already it's too late, you know. The queen's hanging, the bishop's hanging, you know. Now queen a4 doesn't come with a check. Yeah, white messed it up. Already here it's too late, you know. Like I said, should have played here queen a4. Here was a key moment. But let's see. here, 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 takes, takes, takes. Yeah, now that white has exchanged the queens, he's just down what? I think he's down any exchange. Yeah, now there's no chance. When you're like in these kind of positions, never trade the queens. That's your only hope. Here. What? This is a huge mistake. Should have just like maybe given a check and then move the bishop somewhere here and then maybe activated something like this. Maybe activate the knight, potentially put pressure here. The knight can go via d4 to e6 or to f5, put pressure here, 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 you know. But bishop b8 definitely a mistake. Rook b8, and now the bishop is pinned. White cannot move the bishop. Yeah, white's completely lost. Alright, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.